is the Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 285. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. You can also email us at PegasusPodcast@ksn@gmail.com. UCF is 2-0. UCF had a scoregami. They beat North Carolina A&T 68-7. It's 12:52 in the morning on Sunday, September 7th. How are you?
I'm doing great. Can I tell you before we talk about the game at all, can I tell you about a thing that happened in postgame that was a unique experience for me?
Sure.
So after the game, if you guys are unfamiliar with basic things, after the game ends, the media go to the media. Well, because I'm realizing I'm going to explain something that people probably know, but I'm going to do it anyway just in case. The media go to the media room, and then Scott Frost comes and speaks with us, and then they bring in some players. And so Scott Frost spoke to us. Oh, Clay Pasco says, hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Clay Pasco. And Scott Frost spoke. It was very enlightening. And then after that, we had a couple players. Jaden Nixon came in. And in all my years in that media room, which at this point is like a decade, which is crazy, Jaden Nixon did something I've never seen a UCF player before, and that was try to lead the media in the Go Knights charge on chants, which was a really unique experience. Yeah. And he just walked up to the podium, and it's very like a professional, like business type setting. Like you're just kind of like, oh, hi, and you ask your questions, and he just walks in and goes, Go Knights! And the media, if you don't know, like, yeah, a lot of us in there, including myself, have like obvious ties to UCF. That's why we're in there, but it's still kind of like, you know,
frowned upon
to some degree. So like, but there are also people in there who are UCF employees, or whatever. So he got like kind of a half-hearted charge on. He goes, oh, come on, Go Knights, and did it again. And he got a better one that time. And I just have to give a shout out to Jaden Nixon because that was genius. I've never, like, I can't tell you how many players over the years I've seen come into that room, and I've never seen anyone be like, I'm here to lead you in the Go Knights charge on chance. So shout out Jaden Nixon.
My side of all
special shout out to him. Coolest thing he did tonight.
My side of all of that is I was just sitting on a bench outside the bounce house waiting, and I'm just throwing Twitter, and whoever was there covering the game for Reddit CFB was doing like a thread on the whole press conference, and they mentioned, you know, that whole exchange, and he was like, the media contingent responded with a charge on, and I was like, that's weird. I was like, I feel like they shouldn't be doing that.
I'm so bummed that you knew about that, because I intentionally didn't tell you on the drive home because I want it to be a surprise. And I knew because I'm saying it, and you're just like, yes, that is correct. You let the media and Go Knights charge on.
Real quick, yes, Jagging Glass is on YouTube. It is.
It is on YouTube.
I double check.
Go to YouTube.
To make sure that we're not.
Leave the hellscape that is Twitter and go to YouTube to get to get this content there. But yeah, UCF played an FCS team and did what they do to FCS teams. They won 68-7. I guess we should, since he led us in a cheer, I think we should start maybe with Jaden Nixon.
I think, actually, in honor of that, I'm going to delay you saying that, because we should start with how we had another weather delay, and this game kicked off after 8 o'clock.
Yep.
An hour and 15-ish minutes late. And so that's why we're here at nearly 1 o'clock. So go on with how the game actually got going.
Yeah, let me just say really quickly that I'm done with if there are no more rain delays. And I'm going to say a thing, and it might be controversial. In fact, I'm sure it's controversial. So let's just completely derail the podcast and go here. When it's games like this, the ESPN Plus games against the nobodies that no one cares about, like, these games are really just for us, the UCF fans. UCF, to my understanding, can kind of play the games whenever they want. I understand why it has always been preferable to have a night game. But there has been a development to the state of Florida these last couple of years, and the development is that the thunderstorms don't happen in the afternoon anymore. They happen at night now. Mm-hmm. If you are listening to this and you live in Florida, you know that. It's like the day is fine, and then they happen at night. So I'm wondering how many years we have to be put through literal hell for the first couple of games of the season before UCF just, like, stops keeping these at night, because it seems like the weather's just kind of doing that now. I think it might be time to adjust, maybe like a 3:30 kick or maybe a noon kick. I don't know. Could be me, whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway, on to Jaden Nixon. You know, I think we discussed on our podcast this week, like, oh, is he going to end up being a bust like the other running backs who came in? I think we can put that to rest. He opened the game by copying Mike Hughes very rudely, basically stole his entire playbook. And I mean, seriously, so he opened the game with the touchdown run on opening kickoff. I mean, have you seen the comparison UCF posted? He ran, like, basically covered the exact same portion of the field that Mike Hughes covered. It was very, very weird.
He had an extra yard in there, though. He went 96 yards.
That makes it the better and more memorable of those two runs. I also think that just his regular stat line for the game outside of special teams is the most unhinged stat line I've ever seen it from a UCF player. It is 4 carries for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. He averaged 39 yards per carry.
It's not bad.
It's okay. It's not 40.
I like it.
It's not 40.
Yeah.
That's so insane. And I think my favorite part about how insane it is it's not even fluky. He literally just had insane runs every time he touched the ball. Just crazy.
It's funny because like obviously being in the stands and stuff, I'm not really focusing and like I'm not looking at stats, play by play, all that stuff. So you sent that, I think, or I either saw that on Twitter or you sent it into our group chat, and I was like, he only has 4 carries. It just seemed like he had more. I couldn't really believe that every time I'd seen him break off a long run, those were the only carries he had in the game, but they were. Yeah. I wonder what that's about.
Just having a good night. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jakari Brown came in and kind of did the same thing.
Yeah.
He had 5 carries for 106 yards, 21.2 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, I mean, I want to be clear because I'm kind of trying to toe the line of I want to talk about, obviously, like this is better than we could have hoped for or expected. They went out there and were just entirely dominant. I want to toe the line of that's great to see, and I'm happy that happened, and it's always satisfying when your team wins. But North Carolina A&T is perhaps the worst team of any kind UCF has played in like a half decade. Important to keep in mind. Also, and I don't know if this is the space for it on the postgame podcast, there were things that concerned me, which I know that sounds dumb in a 68-7 win, but there were just things that concerned me.
There's one of them right there. Jared Todd says, I honestly feel bad for Miles. The O-line have done him dirty these last 2 games, and I think if we're talking about, and we're going to get more into this into our next podcast because it's a bye week and we have more time to kind of reflect on what we see in the first 2 games. But if there's one big concern right now, I think the biggest concern might be the offensive line.
It started showing up early in the game. They were just, and it's nothing crazy. It's just a few moments where things are happening, and I'm just like, O-line's struggling with a bad FCS team right now. And yeah, I mean, the run game is, I never imagined or really thought for any second that the run game was going to be a concern for UCF just because they had Miles Montgomery and Jaden Nixon, but it's kind of becoming a little bit of a concern. And I know I'm saying that as Jaden Nixon, again, 156 yards on 4 carries, but
that just doesn't happen against
while those plays were fantastic, the play-to-play running game, especially for Miles, it wasn't really there from the offensive line.
8 carries, 35 yards, 4.4 per.
And that really, a lot of those were not on him. And I'm a little concerned for playtime's over. They survived Jacksonville State, who went on to beat Liberty today, which is like really big for them. So maybe we were a little wrong on being a little too judgy on that one. But playtime is over. The 2 fake games are done. It's all tough from here. And I'm a little worried about how this offensive line and the offense as a whole are going to hold up against some of the tougher competition because it just feels like the cracks are starting to emerge a little bit. There were just more than a few moments, even in a game this dominant, which is just going to be this dominant because of the type of opponent you're playing. There were moments that were concerning me,
and it's easy to mask in a game like this because they in the first quarter they went up 28-0 and they had the kick return touchdown, they had an offensive touchdown, they had a defensive touchdown. So they really just right off the bat were just they put them away in the first quarter.
Oh yeah, game was over minutes
so
into the game.
even at that point I was like I feel like in this first 14 minutes of the game I've learned nothing and I will not learn anything for the rest of the night.
Yep.
And I largely feel that way afterwards because it's like I with Taven Jackson obviously got the start with Cam Fancher out, 12 of 21, 189 yards. He ran for 2 touchdowns. He had the one it was actually kind of a funny dichotomy a little bit because there was the one where he made a really good throw. I think he said it was Marcus Burke, right?
Marcus Burke.
Unnecessarily leapt too early and it threw off the timing and the ball fell incomplete. Really, really good throw. I mean, the best, probably the best of the night. Shortly after that, I think it was a 4th and 4. UCF's going for it on 4th and 4. And I think there was a running lane there. I think there might have been somebody open short and he was just like, let me just throw it deep. And honestly, I think it was a decent throw. I mean, it was deep, but got bailed out by a pretty great catch. That was Dwayne Thomas, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And it was a great catch and the fact that he was able to bring that in. A couple plays later, he scores on a rushing touchdown. Next drive, he scores on a rushing touchdown after getting a short field. So I don't know how to evaluate what we saw from Taven. Like I don't feel like he did anything overly awful, but I don't really feel like I felt better about him in the second half of the Jacksonville State game than I do now. Like I feel worse about him now, which isn't what I was really expecting to feel. But it's not a giant drop off. It's just kind of like I feel like I know less about him than I did a week ago, which is kind of weird after a game.
I think what we saw from Taven, because again, I want to be clear, like I'm not like at 12 of 21, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns on the ground. There's nothing wrong with that stat line. That isn't a bad stat line, or he shouldn't be the guy for UNC or anything like that.
12 of 21 freaks me out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just but it's like we've seen Mackenzie Milton go play against SC State and throw 3 picks. So like it's just FCS game stuff happens. But I think more of what we saw tonight from him was just emblematic of what the entire quarterback competition was. There's times when he looks really good. Mm-hmm. There's times when he doesn't. That's what most average quarterbacks are like. And yeah, like you said, that the throw to Marcus Burke that Burke just couldn't pull down, that was a gorgeous throw. But there were a lot of misfires too. It kind of got the vibe of the course of the game that it seems like short range, you can really rely on him in some of the easier passes. It feels like, unsurprisingly, when you go more deep ball, the accuracy kind of varies heavily. And that didn't hurt them tonight because, truth be told, they were just playing a team that they could beat with their hands tied behind their backs. And that's pretty much what they did. But against some of the other teams on the schedule, it's not going to be the same. And I mean, I'll say right now, and I don't know if UCF fans necessarily agree with me on this. And for those who don't, I would just say buckle up based on Frost's comments tonight. I don't think Taven has the job locked down. I don't think he's a surefire. I don't think it's a sure thing that he starts against North Carolina. And Frost pretty heavily alluded to that tonight. He started dodging questions about the quarterbacks and just said a lot of things. He just kept repeating, no, they're all 3 are really good. And he said, we're going to take the bye week and evaluate. I really don't think that Taven just has this job, especially since while we did not like what we saw from Cam Fancher, it was a very brief amount of time, and he didn't play tonight because of an injury, not because he'd been benched.
Yeah. Can you explain to me then, because I just, again, was seeing paraphrasing of what Frost was saying. I thought I read something where he said there's no quarterback controversy, and then all of his other comments seem to feed the fact that actually, it's unsettled and there kind of is a quarterback controversy.
Yeah, so again, this is like for context. The question framed to him was like, I forget who asked it, but it was framed along the lines of like, is there a controversy? And Frost kind of took that as like, there's a problem or like the guy. So okay. he wasn't saying no, that like, he was like, oh, there's not a controversy. And not as in, we know who the guy is. It was more just in the sense of like, there's not drama there was what he was trying to say. That makes sense. Shout out to Emptiness, by the way, who just commented, have we seen enough? I think we may have. It's time to make the switch official. Davi Belfort QB. When we did see Davi Belfort today.
2 carries, 23 yards.
Shout out to Davi Belfort wearing number 10. You know what that means. UCF legend or JRP, one of the two. But yeah,
Does that count?
No, it's a post-game pod. Those don't count on post-game pods. Making that rule up, making that rule up in real time as we go on. But yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a situation where Taven is bad. I don't mean that, but I think that by any means, I don't think it means they can't win any games with him if they go with him. It's more, guys, you're not going to agree with this, and the injury cost us some time. I'd like to see a little more Cam, just to see. I know what we saw was bad. I'm not saying I want him to start. I'm saying I just want to see a little bit, and I want to see a little more Jakari because, Jakari was playing with the second string and was playing a very bad team, but I'm just going to say it. If Jakari is not the starter going forward, which I think that's looking very unlikely, I think odds are it's a Cam Jackson battle at this point. You got to find a way to involve Jakari. He is just so freaking athletic, and he's such a lightning bolt every time he gets the ball in his hands. I just think whether it's like a Dariel Mack in 2019 situation or what, it's just like he is too athletic and too freaking fun to waste. So I just feel like he's got to be involved somehow. But I don't think this quarterback thing is settled. And that's too bad since they're going into UNC. And I think we'd all hoped that by these 2 games would have been time to work that out. I think Cam's injury kind of screwed that up. But I think this offense has a ceiling. And I think that I just think we need to, whatever happens from here, I think we all need to collectively let go of the idea that this offense is going to be anything like, I think their ceiling is like an average offense. And I don't know if they're going to hit that ceiling as we get into the tougher competition.
And that is what scares me, is that I thought all off season, maybe they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. At best, they're going to get some like mediocre quarterback play probably, but they've got this run game that they'll be able to lean on. And I don't know for sure if they can do that with the way the offensive line is playing in the kind of, like you said, the play-to-play, like there were the explosive plays, obviously, but there was some kind of play-to-play stuff where guys were getting bottled up right at the line of scrimmage or behind, and that's concerning given the 2 opponents they've played. So, I don't know. And I think all along we felt it was going to be a work in progress that was probably going to last the entire year, and the defense was going to have to carry the thing, and I still feel the same way about that.
I think and again, it's like, you have to remember there is only so much that we can know between 2 games because remember last year we did 2 games. We did New Hampshire and Sam Houston. And we came away going, hey, they could win the Big 12. And that ended up being not so correct. But based on what we know about the offense now, it seems like we're in a situation where the quarterback play can be good but is inconsistent. Seems like wide receiver play can be good but is inconsistent. Seems like offensive line can be good but is inconsistent. And when you have all of those factors together, what that equals, and you can come back and clip me here when it happens, because I'm sorry, guys, it's going to. There's going to be a couple games this year where it just all falls flat on its face, and they just can't do anything. Like, that's going to happen because that's just the nature of – it's not that it's bad. It's just that the inconsistency is there, and if 1 or 2 of those points hit at the same time, if the O-line has a bad night and can't handle a D-line, or whoever's in at quarterback is kind of rattled or shaky or just isn't having their best game, it's going to collapse because they just don't have enough of the – they have playmakers. I don't think they have enough consistent guys who they can rely on rep to rep, drive to drive to help them out. And, you know, we kind of did a whole offseason saying that was what was going to happen. So we really shouldn't be surprised. I think it's more just we all wanted to hold on to the hope that, well, maybe one of the quarterbacks turns out to be transcendent or something. And I don't think that's coming. I don't think that's what's coming at this point.
Yeah, and I think, like you mentioned, the injury to Cam is what really is – because what Frost kind of said, too, is that, like, we'll take the bye week, evaluate, and kind of continue this competition almost. And that, I think if Cam gets to play tonight, you have a lot more to judge between the 2 games.
Yeah.
And obviously that wasn't the case. So you don't really know where, like, I don't like that we're through those 2 games and we're still kind of like, I wonder who the quarterback is.
Yeah, because this is it now. Like, every game, if the goal of the season is to make a bowl, which it obviously is, if your goal is higher than that, then I need you to go to sleep because you're suffering from some kind of, like, I don't know, just lack of sleep. Confusion. If the goal is to, me too, to be honest, if the goal is to make a bowl, then the time is up for figuring things out. Every game matters now. Like, you have to find 4 more wins. Yeah. That's the goal. And given the way college football is playing out, it suddenly seems like there may well be 4+ wins on this schedule if UCF can live up to that. But like, they can't. UNC's one of those. Like, UNC's one of the ones they have left that fall in that group of, oh, these might be winnable based on what we know now. So you can't take that game to be like, let's see what Cam looks like for the first quarter. Oh, it didn't work out. Maybe Jakari. Oh, okay, let's try to like that's done. It's time to figure it out. So
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think anything's a nightmare. I just think that, you know, for everything we're saying about the offense, the defense once again had a pretty solid night. And I think the hope is, and I do buy in on the hype on this one, I think the hope is that when the offense struggles, the defense can pick up the slack in enough games to keep UCF competitive through the course of the schedule, which I think they might be able to. They seem to have a lot of freaking good playmakers on defense.
Yeah. Horace Lockett might be my favorite player on this team.
Horace Lockett, who I feel like we talked about twice this offseason, is honestly, it's more than just Horace Lockett. The D-line as a whole, we knew it was going to be a strength. It's so much deeper than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It's so much deeper than I was expecting because of guys like Horace Lockett, RJ Jackson. Sincere Edwards had 3.5 TFLs tonight, by the way. I just
Rodney Laura, who scored a touchdown.
Rodney Laura. Shout out to Rodney Laura with a touchdown. I promise you that's his name debut on this podcast. So it's really seeing the defensive line in particular, but really the defense as a whole, just have a really strong night again against a very bad team, but they did exactly what you would expect a good defense to do against a bad team. And that was just suffocate them to the point of insanity. I don't think I've had a night in my life that was as bad as that North Carolina A&T offense had tonight. It gives me hope that we can see the defense kind of carry them through some of these Big 12 games. Cause I really do think this defense, based on what we know now, can stand up to pretty much every Big 12 offense that is on UCF's schedule. I really do think that. I don't see an offense on there. I don't see more than 1 or 2 offenses on there that I think that they can't stand up to.
I hate that. I mean, I like that there's a bye week, I think, but I kind of hate it too, because I'm so interested to see what this matchup brings against UNC, because like we watched them against TCU, obviously, and that did not go well for them. And there was a time where 2 hours of real time on the clock elapsed without their quarterback completing a pass. And I'm like, I wonder if UCF can do something like that to them or get to that point. So it's going to be interesting to just kind of see how they come out of this bye week and what it's like when they're up against a team that you like to think they're better than them. But I mean, this is a North Carolina team that does have talent. So, and they'll presumably have some things figured out that they didn't have figured out for the opener against a really good TCU team. So
North Carolina's offense has been pretty anemic through 2 games. You all probably watched TCU because that was the big one on Labor Day. They lost 48-14. They played at Charlotte today and they won 20-3, and it was a struggle for a big chunk of the game. So North Carolina's not good. I think North Carolina probably has more raw talent than UCF just based on some of their portal additions this offseason, but They're not good right now. They have one more game. They don't get the bye week, which is probably good. I mean, that is absolutely good for UCF. They play a tune-up game against Richmond, so we'll see. But it's just so funny to be in a situation where I'm trying to toe the line between. I think we are here now. We're 2 games in. I think there's a very legitimate chance that UCF starts 3-0. I think that there is inexplicably, never would have guessed this in the offseason, a real on-the-table chance of them starting 4-0. Kansas State has looked horrible. They lost to Iowa State and Ireland. They came home and played an FCS team and needed a last-second drive to win, and they lost tonight to Army. Army, who's coming off a loss to Tarleton State. This ain't even like playoff Army. This is a not good Army team. So it's weird to be in the boat of like, they could maybe go 4-0, but the ceiling's still like 7-5, maybe 6-6. Like, I hope that fans get that and understand, because I think that fans are feeling optimistic now, and you should. They're 2-0. They got out of the Jacksonville State situation. This is what sometimes it just boils down to, I like it when my team wins by many points. I enjoy seeing that, but I worry that if they beat UNC, people are going to get a little delirious on the timeline. I fear that's what's coming next.
Yeah, and that's this fan base. That's every fan base.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not unique to UCF.
So yeah, and I don't know. I feel good about. We expected this. We expected them to be 2-0. We expected, in the quest to make a bowl game this year, that they were going to get these 2 wins and they'd have to find 4 more. And I think, given what we're seeing from the rest of the Big 12 right now, especially the teams that are on UCF's schedule, I think there are 4 wins out there.
Yeah.
I told you, and you brought it back up to me again tonight after all the other results from the day, and I had said it earlier when we were watching the early games, that it's just too bad that UCF doesn't have the team this year, because they would be Big 12 contenders with the way everybody else is kind of just falling apart and falling flat. I mean, like Eric Edwards mentions, like Oklahoma State, who lost, was it 69-3? I think
Oklahoma State. There is
Oregon.
I will tell you right now, Mike Gundy is not going to be Oklahoma State's head coach by the time they come to the Bounce House. That program's dead in the water with him. West Virginia lost to Ohio. Not Ohio State, Ohio, the Bobcats of the MAC. The Big 12. There are some Big 12 teams on UCF's schedule that are just, man. I mean, you look at it and it's like North Carolina, at Kansas State, West Virginia, Houston, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati to a degree, who had a little bit of trouble with MAC team tonight with Bowling Green. All of those are teams that have looked for anywhere from to like flat out really bad. Mm-hmm. So there's kind of a path there if things break your way. But I really just think we have to be ready for, and I'm not saying it's going to happen against UNC, but I don't see the playmakers on offense. I don't see the consistency on offense for this unit to be able to go out there and just hang with a lot of these teams on the schedule. I really don't think that's coming.
I meant to say this when you made a good point where you said, they have all these different aspects of their offense that can be good, but they haven't been able to do consistently. When you've got, your quarterbacks, multiple quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and your offensive line, where they're all kind of an unknown at any given time, it's going to be difficult to get all 4 to be really good at the same time. So you're going to have games where the quarterbacks look fine, but they couldn't get a push in the run game, and that costs them. Or the opposite can be true, where quarterbacks are missing easy throws, but they're able to run the ball and kind of cover up. To get it clicking on all cylinders the way we would like to see it, I just don't see that out of this group.
Yeah,
it's early. Maybe by, November, they're starting to click a little bit more, but I don't know. Like you said, I don't really know what their ceiling is. I don't know if the ceiling for the offense is much more than just being like, yeah, they were okay. They had some good games. They had some bad games.
And I think that's what will happen. I mean, like I said, it's so funny because we joked about it all offseason, but it's kind of like what 2016 was. It really is. It's so stupid that we're here, but that is what would happen in 2016 is they would have games where the offense was functional and they would put up points and it was fun. And then they would have games where they just were listless. And what you want to see to it, which of course the portal era puts kind of a caveat on all this, but you want to see guys who will be back next year, guys who will be playmakers step up. And we're starting to see that to a degree. Like Wade and Charles is really good.
Yeah.
Through 2 games, I can tell you it is unusual for a true freshman wide receiver to be that effective already. Like he's worked his way into basically being close to a full-time starter. I think it's going to continue. So you want to see that. You want to see guys who will be back next year contributing on offense. Stacey Gage had his first touchdown
run was very, very
Kylan
good.
Fox had a really nice play tonight. Like there are guys who, pending portal decisions, will be back here next year who you can build with and hopefully pair with Kane Archer, who, Jesus Christ. If you're not familiar with Kane Archer, he's one of UCF's quarterback high school commits for next season who we're obsessed with because we love him and he's fantastic. And he played last night, Friday Night Football, and had 7 touchdowns, including 5 on the ground. And you should go on Twitter and just search his name. Some of these were just the dumbest touchdowns you've ever seen in your life. Like I mean that in a good way. I mean, like he juked out half of a defense at one point. Like he's incredible. So build toward the future is still the goal. I hope everyone gets that. But We all want a bowl. We all want a bowl.
I have this comment up here from Eric because I do want to feel a little bit delusional because I don't see like we talked about this throughout the offseason where it's like there are plenty of toss-up games on this, and it's very rare for all the toss-up games to go in your direction. But with what we're seeing right now from these teams, like especially like West Virginia not looking great, Oklahoma State looking awful, Cincinnati, we always thought we're going to feel pretty decent about that game. I still don't know about Kansas State just on the road, and they're not going to be this bad all year. I just can't imagine that. But you win those games, and you're looking at 7 wins, maybe 8 if you steal another one. Like it is bizarre, and I don't think Mike says does 8-4 have us in Big 12 contention. Don't think so, but
guys, then what did I just say? What did I just say?
But with how bad this conference is right now,
no, we're not. How do we do 25 minutes on everyone calm down? The team's not good, and we get asked, are they going to contend for the Big 12 title
with that 8-4 record?
No, they would. No,
but I don't think so.
Because while a lot of the Big 12 is bad, you only need 2 teams to be having really good seasons, and they do have. Iowa State looks incredible. Good. TCU looks really good. Texas Tech has looked really good.
Utah's good. I think Baylor's.
Mike has now said no. That's not saying we do that. I'm the host. I decide what you guys really think, and I just send
you flew off the handle there for a second there.
But yeah, guys, it's late.
That on 1:17 in the morning.
But so I'm looking at the schedule right now, and the games that I feel good about are West Virginia, Houston, and Oklahoma State. I'm like close to being ready to pencil those in. Shout out to Philippe, who is greeting us from Colombia.
Wow.
That's crazy.
We had someone, was it last week? We had someone that was listening in from India, and it was 10 something in the morning. I didn't realize. I don't think that we were international like that.
Yeah, we're very narrow-minded people, so I assumed you all were in the larger Central Florida area. But so I feel really solid about West Virginia, Houston, Oklahoma State. Those are all teams that are having West Virginia, and Oklahoma State. God, I just am thinking about how bad we felt even just a little bit when UCF was trailing against Jacksonville State, and then they came back and win. West Virginia losing to Ohio sucks.
They struggled. Who did they play last week? Did they struggle early in last week's game? So they ended up blowing the team out in the second half. But
last week they played Robert Morris. Yeah, they did. They won 45-3, but it was a little bit of a struggle.
I think it was like 14-3 at one point.
West Virginia was confronted with the exact same situation UCF was, and so far UCF is handling it better. So I really
got Cam in Mexico City too. This rocks.
This is awesome, guys. We're gonna do anything. We're gonna map, and I want push pins of everyone who listens to us, like Nielsen boxes, but on the global scale. It's gonna
shout out to the guy. Someone recognized me today at the stadium, which will never become a normal thing for me. But he was like, "Oh, love the pod," and I was like, "Oh, thanks." Like I feel like I hope I handled that interaction well. But I sometimes question whether I do that because I'm an anxious.
The cool thing about both Bailey and me is that we're deeply socially awkward people, which makes it really fun when you all listen. And we do appreciate you guys so much. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we have to cover on this episode that we can't hit.
I don't know.
I hope I didn't come away being too negative, because the truth is, like, it's just nice to see them. And there are like funny little moments. Like I tweeted a little tongue in cheek, even though it's a perfectly factual statement after the game, that was, this is Scott Frost has now won 15 straight as UCF's head coach. It's still weird. We had a friend who went to the game tonight who did not go to the first game, and she texted us before how weird it was going to be that you're just going to walk in and see Scott Frost on the sideline. And I was laughing. I don't know. That's still just kind of funny. And we were talking about it earlier today. I don't know exactly how I feel about the Frost era as a whole. Not talking about the upcoming games, but like where this era will go. I'm still worried because there are still a lot of things that I think work against UCF, but I want it to work so bad. Just hearing him talk in the press conference, seeing him on the field, seeing them win, hearing Taven Jackson shout out Coach Milton for helping keep the quarterbacks together and staying friends and them all being best friends. It's like the payoff as a UCF fan, if this does work, will be immeasurable. And it's just fun to see the vibe of the team relaxed again and not like what it was the last couple of years under Gus Frost. He was asked about the atmosphere of the game, and he was joking how he can't believe how much money Terry Mahajer spent on fireworks and how the in-game atmosphere is just so fun compared to what he was last year. It's like, it's just right now for this week, for this moment, for this night, we're having fun. It's fun. It's just fun to see UCF out there with playmakers and with a coach that this fan base has a lot of love and respect for. And hopefully they can keep it rolling. Hopefully we get a bye week here where we can still pretend things are all good. And if they win against UNC, you're halfway to a bowl, and that's exciting.
They're 3-0 for the second year in a row.
Yeah. Third year in a row.
Third year in a row?
No, second year in a row. Third year in a row. Yeah, third year in a row. Yeah. Wow. That's cool. That's UCF's annual tradition is to start 3-0 and then everything goes crazy.
Just want to thank you guys. You guys made my day when the pod is out. It was like a Seinfeld episode, and I don't really know how to take that.
I've never watched Seinfeld.
I've watched episodes. I've watched episodes, but Rodrigo agrees. So I don't know if we're Seinfeld-esque. I don't know how to take it.
Hey, let us know which Seinfeld characters we are. It's not going to mean anything to us, but
I know my Seinfeld tiny bit.
My main Seinfeld takeaway is one of the Seinfeld guys was in Jurassic Park, which is my favorite movie. But that's really all I have to say. But yeah, I feel like I already know for things we missed is we probably should talk more about Jakari. But yeah, we'll hit that one up.
I also want to say too, the friend you just mentioned, Sarah, she made a good point about Jaden Nixon's 66-yard touchdown run. She said that was his shortest touchdown of the night because it was.
That's insane. That's crazy actually to think about.
But yeah, I mean, it was fun to see him do that. Obviously, I would like to see him do that in games against better opponents to kind of quell any worries from what we saw in week 1. But
let me ask you one question before we get out of here.
Sure.
Because it's 1:21 a.m. Gut instinct right now, who starts UNC? I'm asking you another question after this, so be ready, but go ahead. Taven starts UNC. You think Cam loses the job via his injury? Assuming he's healthy. He might not.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sound very good what he's dealing with.
Let me ask you one more question.
I have nothing to base it off of. I'm just going to go with Taven.
Okay. Who starts BYU?
God, I forgot they played BYU. Taven.
Okay, Bailey Adams, major Taven believer.
every game in between then, but I think he's. I don't know.
I thought we were going to drop some spicy takes there, and Bailey just rode with Taven Jackson will start all the time, no matter what. So yeah, we'll see.
I can give you a spicy take.
Go ahead.
I still think
Tavi Belfort.
I still think Jakari Brown has the highest ceiling of all the quarterbacks. I think he does.
I think the issue is that what I said earlier with Taven was I said that he loses accuracy as he gets deeper down the field, and that's frustrating. But you can trust him to make the short range throws. You can trust him to not screw up the basic passes. I have watched Jakari whiff on the simplest of throws.
2 of 3 tonight for 15 yards. That's intermediate passing right there.
Because when I'm looking for quarterback success, I'm checking in the second half of a game against North Carolina A&T, who was
they weren't going to be throwing the ball.
Who was paid $475,000.
That feels wrong
to come get destroyed on this field tonight. By the way, if you guys so that's how this works. Whenever UCF plays a fake game, it's like they pay the team money and the team comes in and they beat them. That's very standard. That's how it works for everybody. To my understanding, North Carolina A&T was paid $475K. That's what Matt Michelle reported. It's pretty low. I think UCF paid UConn like $1 million for one of these a couple years ago, and I think they were paying FAMU and Bethune-Cookman like $700, $800K. I hope I'm not wrong on that, but that's what I remember at the time. So it feels like we may have ripped North Carolina A&T off and then just demolished them. So
yeah, I feel bad about it a little bit.
Unfortunate.
I was texting another one of my friends, and I was like, this is brutal. I was like, I almost feel bad at a certain point. He was like, feeling bad for the other team is a whole different level of like that, how bad that team is.
Well, that team was bad.
Yeah.
That team was really bad. I don't even know what else to say about it. That was It was shocking how bad they were. UCF plays an FCS team every year, but that was a pretty rough one. And
yeah, again, because we talked about it before earlier today. Like I think it was earlier today. Even Frost's like FCS games before, like when they played SC State, they only won 38-0. And then you mentioned the Austin Peay game the next year, they won 73-33, but they still gave 33 points. So
this is actually the most dominant FCS performance we've seen.
To see them come out and go up 68-0 and win 68-7. I mean, it was nice to do that, but obviously it was the lowest caliber of opponent they played out of those three, and yeah,
I just say I've seen a couple in the comments point out that they lost 2 quarterbacks over the course of the game. While true and devastating, they were bad from the first snap. Like that was not. I do not think that they were going to be a revelation without that. But yeah, that is actually crazy that happened to them.
I want to know. I actually didn't see this. I want to see this visual now. So when their coach went for a drink with his hat flipped up, I felt bad. I don't know what that means, but
we'll be looking for that.
Yeah, I need you to send me that or just tweet it or something because that sounds intriguing to look at. Anyone want to say anything about the uniforms or no?
Yeah, I did. I was wondering if you were gonna like be cool with that because I know it's kind of like
I
know, but I'm just like podcast. It's like 125. Whatever. So you see if did the black uniforms tonight. I don't know. I liked them a lot, and there are uniforms that UCF wears that I like, and I can tell that fans are gonna have problems with these. These were like the perfect blackout uniforms, and I'm curious how you felt about them because I feel like I'm just broken record at this point saying I like the uniforms.
I like them. I don't have much to say. This is an interesting point. Mike says the 3s look bad. They come off as 9s on TV and
also come off as 9s to the stadium announcer.
But also, because somebody had tweeted that, I think, or something, and I noticed it right after that. I think somebody came on the field, and I was like, I don't know. It might have been It might have been because Burke's 3, I think, right?
Yeah, Marcus Burke is 3.
And either he came out and I thought it was 9, DJ Black, or the other way around. And I was like, okay, I can see how this is something that you get mixed up.
It's this new font. One of the things they changed to 3 is they added a hook at the top. I think to add like those hash marks. Basically, they've added to all of these. So I guess you can say it looks a little bit like a 9 like that. Me personally, if the biggest complaint on the unis is the 3s look like 9s, then we'll move on. But I don't know. I think what stood out about these, and I said this for the whiteouts too. First off, I kind of liked that this is how we introduced the uniforms. We just did base whiteout for one game, base blackout, and now we'll start seeing combos. But it was even more prevalent on the black jerseys because obviously a lighter color pops more. But gold is so freaking prevalent on these uniforms, like far more than at any point from 2016 to present. I mean, maybe more than any point in UCF history, other than when they were in gold jerseys and stuff. Because you got the gold decals, the gold sword stripe, which remember it was often black back in the day. That drop shadow on the numbers is so freaking prominent. Like it just shines so well with the numbers. And then you've got the player stars down the pants, which are freaking huge now.
I think that's my favorite
part. Like I can see them from the press box, man. Like it's crazy. I thought it was a really, really sweet blackout. It's definitely not as like clean or streamlined as a blackout as you would have seen in the older sets, which are a little more simplified, but it's just a very strong UCF look, you know?
Matt says, sorry, I'm changing the subject, but he says that's the first kickoff return since 2017.
Yes, it was.
First one since Mike Hughes.
So technically it was the second in Scott Frost's last 5 games as UCF.
Mike says, now that we're 2-0, if UNC is 2-1, do we get big noon kickoff?
Could.
I think that'd be crazy, but
I think it'd be a ridiculous decision. I also think it's a decision they could absolutely make. Yeah. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. That would be hilarious. UCF hosting big noon kickoff 2 years in a row while like actively struggling as a program.
I don't know. If they do that, that would be a little crazy.
But I'm curious what kind of. I will say arguments for it. One, they get to do all the real Belichick stuff, which I'm sure they'd like to do. And the ACC doesn't have a Fox component in their contracts. This is the only time they'd really be able to do that. And second, they really liked coming to UCF last year. That UCF gave them one of the better crowds they've had like ever and great energy. And that's what they want to produce a show. They want it to look good. And Big Noon has not been as like picky as game day, partially because they're more tied to what their contract is, but they haven't been as picky as game day is like, oh, we have to be at what the big game is of that week. Like they will go to other environments. So I totally think that could happen.
Bring on big noon kickoff and hype it up since we have a decent chance to win. I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, after the way last one turned out,
UCF is 0-1 in big noon kickoff appearances, but yeah,
it would just be the worst thing ever if they do get big noon again and they lose again, and this is like the first actual real win that Bill Belichick gets at UNC. It would not be.
I also don't think there's a ton of competition that day because remember, Big Noon doesn't really go wherever.
What's the one? The one I keep saying
SMU. TCU SMU.
And SMU lost to Baylor today, so I don't know.
Oh God, Mike said Portnoy to Lazy Moon. Oh man, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Maybe
so. Anything else?
I think that's it.
I'm ready to get out of here. We'll be back this week. We'll obviously just have the one episode this week since it's a bye week. But we'll kind of speak generally about the maybe we'll do some things.
No, we're coming back on Saturday. We're gonna do a post-game podcast. We'll pick a game.
Shut up. No, we're not. I'm gonna be watching a different game. Big Noon kickoff would be nice so that I don't have to wake up at 4:30 a.m. to watch us.
That's fair.
That is completely fair. But yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll talk probably a little bit of things we missed from A&T, but then also speaking more generally from what we've seen the first 2 weeks of the season, then all that leading into UNC. But until then, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being with us. Thank you to the 119 that are still with us right now at 1:29 in the morning. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.